Why? I didn't realize it's longer than I expected. Hi, girl. Hi, guys. How about you? You think first you are like taking back your freaking what's it called? Your little first style girl. I know you said you're gonna be like you're always gonna be like the first one, but you're kind of getting beat these like recently. But yeah, today before I forget the day, it's June June 21st. We are yeah, June's almost over. Cause I don't have the time. You don't redeem first half the time, so you're just letting other people bask in the glory of being able to redeem first. You're such a nice guy. So nice guy. Hi goes. Hi Dre. Hello. How are you? Have you been? How have you guys been? How's your weekends been? How's your week been? We're fucking halfway through the week, and I haven't got to chat with you guys at all. Tell me everything. Spill the tea. I want to know. Today though, we are playing we're playing a new game. We're playing Sunhaven. I told you guys I wanted to play this game last week. So we're finally coming through. Finally playing Sunhaven. We're gonna see how this goes. Cause Sunhaven's a bit of a it's a little slower than Stardew Valley, but it's a lot more entertaining. And then just what I do, I'm gonna turn down the background music. There we go. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. We're gonna see how long I can last in this before I cave and like I want to play Valorant. Hi, hello, hi Faye. How are you? How's your week been, Faye? Faye, Pride Month's almost over. I'm sad. Yeah, cozy. Hi Nick. Have you been? How are you? I'm slowly dying. Are you sick, Kudo? Has it finally gotten up with you? Aren't you in exam season too? Bro, all these kids are in exam seasons. Are you one of those kids? No, so then why are you dying? Are you just dying as in like we're all just dying? Cause you've been making bad decisions. Faye, what decisions have you made? Faye, first you gotta tell me what bad decisions you've been making, and then you gotta tell me how that little reunion of yours went last week. What'd you do this time? What'd you do this time, girly pop? My body's almost finished healing. Oh, that's great to hear. It's like 5 band-aids on my legs and rashes on my neck. Hey. I mean, Dre, at least you're healing, which is the best part. It may take a lot, but at least you're healing. How are you feeling, Dre? How are you right now? I have to watch my little brother graduate for 4 hours. That's why you're dead? What's wrong with watching your little brother graduate? Kudo, isn't that exciting? Are you there right now, or is it like later? Imagine cozy. Imagine Nick. This day is already half done. I kind of forgot I played this game for a while. Oh, the reunion. Yes, the reunion. That's where the bad choices start. Hey, Faye. You can start from there. Start from the beginning. Cause he's stupid at GG's. Ayoski, hi, Kazu. How are you? Actually, wait, Kazu. How is your holding off on Star Rail? How is your holding off on Star Rail been? It's in an hour? Oh my, are you getting ready now, Kudo? Or are you just like chilling, trying to get ready at like the last second? Well. Look, bitch, aren't you supposed to be going to work right now? But hi, her. How are you? How you doing? I still feel like shit, which is normal, but at least I'm not. Hey, Dre, it's a start. It's a start. Wait, are you able to eat something or have water or like, you know? I'm in a suit. Low key for a second, Kuro. I thought you said I'm a slut. I was about to be like, why are we calling ourselves that right now? It's so early. So the reunion went well, yes. I watched my friend get nowhere cute, but afterwards I came home by 1 a.m. That's when the bad choice happened. What was the bad choice, Faye? Anyways, a new Demon Slayer slut. You watched Demon Slayer, Jay? Low key, nah, me and that, nah. Chilling. I'm still holding strong. Are you sure about that, Kazu? No temptations? It's tight and itchy. Why is the suit tight? Why don't you get a suit that fits properly? If it's itchy, why are you wearing it? Are suits like that? I don't know. I've never worn a suit before. It's on my bucket list, but right now. At 1 a.m. I see my friend at VC with some other people I don't know. I joined. Cute. People at VC are doing totally illegal things. Cute. And I stayed in the VC until 10:30. But Faye, the question is, did you indulge in those totally legal things? Kozu, what, Haru? I'm sorry, I'm pretty aggressive this month. Yes, Haru, what's up? What's up, bestie? What happened? Is everything okay? Also, I delayed my PC build because I want to save for slightly. That is a smart idea, Kazu. But then you're not getting Locha. That's sad. You're both kind of rocking with him. I mean, hey, at least you're gonna have a stronger PC. I am, but it's Pride Month. What were we talking about? Yes, it's Pride. Is that why you're wearing a tight and itchy suit? Because it's Pride Month? You do that little, you know, the hand thingy majigger? It looks like you're doing your nails. I may just get a Switch in the meantime. Because it depends on how long you're waiting until you're getting like the PC. Because with the Switch, you have to buy games, and games on Switch are not cheap. I speak because like I have one, and those games are expensive. So honestly, it may just be worth it to hold out, unless like you really want a Switch. The love Hashira is cute. What's the love Hashira? Dre, you're gonna have to give me more. In Demon Slayer, Sensei's supposed to be tight and itchy, bro. But my muscles are too big. Bro's been going to the gym. He's built kind of different. Why don't you just get a bigger suit? Wouldn't you need it for something else anyways? Well, they couldn't send me the legal substances for in person. What? Girl. Kozu's always aggressive though. No, I'm not always aggressive. It's just certain people bring the aggressiveness out of me. And that is just a reactive response. No to buying a bigger suit. But why? See, but so you don't wear? So you're just gonna? I mean, it's only 4 hours. Also, Kudo, how did the thingy with wifey go? How was your whole day together? Yeah. Is there like a specific? Type of Switch you want to get, Kazu? In a couple days past of talking to these people some more. I have new yay, that's so exciting. And on Monday I'm be seeing with them from like 4 to 11. Where we be all the way till 7 the next day. No, goddamn. That's so cute. I'm so happy for you, Faye. It's always cute when you like fucking VC to like late hours. It's adorable. But what the was the bad decision the not so legal substances? Hi Nix. Oh my gosh, Nix. I saw it yesterday. I saw your stream. It was on my freaking recommended page. I was like, oh my gosh, look at you go. It was so cute. How was your stream? Oh, look, I just want to say thank you. Oh, Nix. Okay, spam redeems. Gotcha. $20 for Tara, which usually costs like 3 pebbles or something. Switch prices be inflated. Switch is $20 on the Switch? Nah, bro. Like the new what's it called? You know the new fucking Link or whatever, that game? That game was like is like $80. I was like, bro, those are like PlayStation, like freaking console priced games for a handheld device. It was amazing. That's so great to hear. What the suit? That's so amazing. I'm so good. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm glad you guys had a great day together. How was the movie? Me and my sister and my cousin are probably gonna watch the movie this weekend. Is it worth it? I'm probably just gonna get the regular Switch, like the blue and red one. And then now we're going to Scotland at the weekend. What's it called? Scotland for... Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm gonna lose my voice. Thank you, Anonymous, for the gifted sub to Nix. If I know who Anonymous is, thank you. But yes, thank you for the gifted sub. That's a bad choice. That you're going to Scotland. Do you have to buy a plane ticket? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Nix, you said something. I missed it. How is going to Scotland a bad choice? That's kind of cute. H. Nick, you always say H. What's so special about H? It was good. That's crazy to hear all this crazy. It was wild. How you been? I've been chilling. You know, not good, not bad. You know when you're like neutral, but you're not like bad neutral, you're like good neutral? I've been good neutral. How have you been, Nix? Did I ask how have you been? I probably did. How have you been, Nix? Megastar, sir? Haru, aren't you... You better not be texting and driving. Okay, we're caught up. It's cute, but as of the day we'd be going, I'd have know this person online for only a week. Ma'am! They're supposed to... okay. Haru, put down your fucking phone. Please, no texting and driving. That may have sounded aggressive, but please, focus on the road. I'll be here when you're done driving, please. Faye, back to you. There's 3 things. Have you seen this person? You... Girl? Do you see why it's a bad choice now? Cause can you back out? Because 1, have you seen this person's face? 2, do you know this person's name? 3, you've only known this person for a week. Just like, nah, bestie. Yeah, it's great to hear. The stream ain't working. That's exciting. A subathon. When is your subathon gonna be, Nix? That's so exciting. Subathons are so cool. Cry? Don't cry. I'll still be here. You don't have to cry. I won't go anywhere until I know that you've arrived safely. Just please put down the phone. I played Valorant with some Aussies earlier since my dumbass cute Sydney servers 200 ping. How'd your game go, Jay? I played on 200 ping once and I cried. I couldn't hit one shot. What if we play Valorant on Asia servers? Cause I have an Asia account. I kinda wanna play Valorant. So if I can remember like the login. But how did you have okay. Oh, we can't even plant it. We don't have space. I'm trying to let this patch of grass grow in because like this it's closer to the water. Over here it just looks weird. Finish tomorrow. We hit 800 followers. That's exciting. Kind of figuring out how. Congrats on 800. And then you're gonna hit like freaking 1000 and I get to be like, oh my gosh, I was here still for 1k followers. Like before she became famous. I don't know. From what I've seen, subathons are like not an all or nothing. Subathons are like, you know, finger. I told you my friend was in the BC with people I don't know. They have okay, Facecam's okay. I know their name, and yes, a week. Okay, at least I know how they look like. I don't know about the only knowing them for a week, but hey, bestie, as long as you're taking safety precautions and you know, you can't back out now. You just gotta make sure you're safe and someone knows where you're at all of the time. If you're in your gut, you feel like it's a bad decision and you don't feel comfortable, then you should back out. But I mean, it's honestly, Faye, it's like your call. I need to plant these tomorrow. When we hit it, honestly, Nyx, I'm kind of illiterate. My brain adds and takes away words from. I'm like, no, it's like we're manifesting it because you're gonna hit it anyways. So it doesn't even matter about like when you hit it. It's just like, you know. I'm just trying to justify not being able to read. I somehow did better than my usual games. Maybe it's the ping. Dre, come play on NA servers. We'll see how you do here. Major games, but at the same time, people are teleporting all over the place. It do be like that sometimes. Well, haven't I talked to you today? It was fun. I got finger blasted by the neon twice. So I jammed her on... Huh? It's June. Okay, listen here. Listen, guys. This dude, this is the one I'm going for. Him. Either him or this dude. Where is he? Liam. Because he got cake. Anyways, you could come with me to be safe. Ma'am, you know how expensive it would be for me to fly to Scotland? If you want, you can message me to make sure that you're safe, but I don't think I could fly to Scotland like that. I have the natural level of anxiety about it in my gut. I want to go. I see. I know where you're at. Don't worry, sir. J-Star, girl. You don't know my location, like, I mean you can, if you really asked around you could know my location. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Anonymous, for the gifted sub, to G-Star. But don't ask around. You don't need to know my location. That's of none concern. I love that. Of course. We love to hear it. And then when you do, I'm gonna be lurking, and then as soon as you hit it, I'm gonna be like, see, ma'am, I told you. I fucking told you. Hello there, hi. Omar, listen, I keep forgetting. But to answer your question, yes. Hi, Omar. Hi, Step. How you doing? I don't know what I need to do today. For you, this day's already almost over. We're just gonna go to the beach. We're gonna do some fishing. I need to be. Meet June. Oh my gosh, look, we're going on a date with June tomorrow. Goodness. Thank you, Anonymous, for the gift is up to Omar. I don't know what else to say. I feel like thank you's not enough sometimes. Thank you's never enough. But thank you. It means a lot. So crazy, just before stream, I was sitting on a foldable and it folded on Faye. I don't mean to sound like a mother, but what do you think was gonna happen if you leaned it on a foldable ladder? I hope, have you got, were you able to get some ice for your fingers? Also this dude, I want to start a new thingamajigger and get with this dude. Cause he's kind of pretty. No, don't despair. Wait a second. Look at him. And he's a doctor. Sheesh, NA service will send me to God. Do you want to play on NA service, Jay? You can play with me. Anonymous gifter be doing sugar mommy / daddy. Yeah. Anonymous be being sugar parent energy. I can't jump off, sorry. Hey, Anonymous, thank you. Ayo? Ayo, what, Omar? What happened? Of course we know where you live. 5 because we what the what? That's the wrong province, Faye. Who's gifting up a storm? I don't know. She no, Omar, I'm not forgetting you. I'm forgetting to respond to you. Cause even yesterday I thought about you while I was at work and I'm just like, I didn't respond to Omar yet. And I was gonna do like a snarky cute little respond comment, but it just slips my mind. I'm so bad with responding. But I haven't forgotten about you. That's don't say such things. If you guys play Sunhaven and you want to know like a little shortcut, this like beach area. If you like keep going, you have to like pass the bad guys. It's called Anonymous Gifter Nomi? Nomi? I ate the apple. What does Nomi mean? And then you just have to keep walking through this. Like just ignore all the guys trying to fight you. And then you're at your house. It's a cute little shortcut. Hello, hi, live. Hello, how are you? And then you're at your house. I thought it would lean back. Ladder is so hard to fold when I'm trying to fold it, let alone by chance. I mean, maybe it was your body weight. That like caused it to like, you know, close over and everything. And that would be a lot different than like, you know, trying to put it over yourself. Ants are my favorite snack now. Ants? Ants ate you. Oh, Nile vengeance. I might buy lighter fluid and find where they live. Instead of spending a lot of money on lighter fluid, Jay, why don't you just do what they, you know how they have like a lighter and like hairspray? Then what you gonna, yeah, I'm with Alive, what are you gonna do after that? Don't we need... Okay, for now, we'll have a carrot though. I want to sell stuff, but I don't know what to sell. We'll sell the... Wow, okay, makes sense. We'll sell the oranges. Lynn's... Oh my... Should we sell Lynn's record? He finna burn his whole house down if you do that. Oh god. With the hairspray? Flower. Oh my goodness, thank you, Anonymous. Again for the gifted sub. It's alive. Thank you. Send them back to God? But who said they came from God in the first place? Bro, in this game, if you pass out, they charge you automatically $300. I'm like, bro, I barely got 300 doubloons in my pocket. Why would you just leave me on the streets? Why, man? Let the ants live. Too much. What's going on? Why? Did you put the thing in a place that was accessible to the ants? Because if you did, I think that was on you. But if not, then like, you know. Then we could get behind the vengeance and shit like that. Feed them more of his stuff. Yeah. Alive said, you know what, you're down already, might as well keep going. We need copper. We need keys. Okay, how do we make keys again? Furnace, anvil. Peace talks were over the moment they started eating the blocks of pizza on my desk. Oh no, not the pizza on your desk. Copper bar. How do we make copper bars? Did you leave the pizza uncovered? We can use this for the bars to make more bars. In fairness. Put it in the air. Why on the deck? In the air? How are you gonna get it in the air like that? And we can only make one. I was gonna say we need to go to the mines, but then we also need to go on a date with June. I need more wood. I have to think faster because I put the... Okay, we have wood. I put the days to... With here, you can change like the days, like how long they are. There's 15, 20, 30, 40. I put it to 20. Normally I have it on 30, but then that would mean we only get through like 4 days this entire stream. Someone remind me, we need to go to the mines. Maybe today we can go. Because I live in a third world country where I can't afford proper infrastructure. If you bring $1 from over there to here, probably for like a decent sandwich or a full-on rice meal. Oh, rice sounds good right now. Okay, I'm safe. Okay, that's great to hear. We stand driving safely. See, Harry, that wasn't so hard. You said that yesterday. I said it would finish tomorrow yesterday. Should we? Okay. Damn. Don't. But I don't even have $1. Honestly, alive. If you have how much you have and then how much I have, we can combine it, and then probably that'll make $1. Yo, cause it has a hi dark. Hello, how's it go? It's going. How do you enter? How's it going again? It's going great. How are you, Dark? Adapted. Hell yeah. I'm a cute little fun girl. You see what I mean? You run out of water so quickly that having to like run all the way over here, back from here, like back and forth, got like it gets freaking tiring. Our public transportation is a tricycle, a tricycle. How is that public transportation? Agreed. Buy a car. Yeah, take like, if $1 can get you like a sandwich, like could $100 get you like a car? Like if you give the car dealership man 100 sandwiches, don't you think he'd cave? I'm here. Oh my gosh! Hello, Kieran, Mitoko, Makoto. Oh my goodness gracious! Hello, Kieran. My name is Kozme. You call me Kozu. And we cracked, and also cracked Kitchen Valorant and start this. You know the intro. Who also sometimes plays other games like Overwatch. I haven't played Stardew Valley in a long time, but we're playing Sunhaven now. I hope you're doing well, Kieran. Like, thank you for the like. If you're at work, I hope work's going well. What time is it? No, I was supposed to meet June at 10 a.m. Why did you guys tell me? I hope he's still at his house, dude. Please don't be there. Being a farm girly is hard. Sometimes you forget. He's not at his house. Oh, you're not wearing any perfume? Yeah, that's just pheromones and shit. Here, I'm sorry. Cause they're too big, they are. How? And half of roads are dirt roads because 2 for actual roads. By dirt bike. Besides, the country isn't actually land mass. By a jet ski. A jet ski to the river or ocean. Alive, how'd you know he was gonna say river or ocean in the first place? Basically, no sweat. Yes, I understand. I don't want to talk to you. I want to have civil conversation. Okay, we can't have civil conversation with you. Would you like a carrot? He likes a carrot. Nobody sells jet skis here, and storms like 20 times a year. But I mean, hey, 20 divided by 365. Like 20 divided by 12 would be like 2 times a month. Or at least approximately 1.5 times a month. So I mean, technically it'd be worth it because it won't storm every day. At what point are you just cracked? You know, Kieran, that is a good question. At no point. Because by A be kind of trash sometimes. And I'm not cracked because you're the cracked one, Karen. Order from Amazon? They sell jet skis on Amazon? Kieran, Faye, oh my gosh. Kieran, Faye made a bad decision. Faye, you want to tell Kieran your bad decision? Not so cracked variety streamer. Not so cracked variety streamer. Okay, so since we can't go on the date, we're just gonna. It's already 1, bro. I can't. This day's going too fast for me. We need to bring this back to 30 minutes. That is true. Not even gonna lie to you. I don't consider myself a variety streamer. Because I stream like this the main same 2 games every day. We use budget version at Amazon. What's the name? Wish.com. Okay. Can I sell him my old axe? It's cost. Oh, bro. Shopkee's kind of cute though. Low-key. Listen here. Can I sell you my pickaxe? No, I cannot. Lynn, can I sell you my pickaxe? What if I give her my pickaxe as a gift? She's for scamming old people and selling posters. But I mean, if you do it respectfully, is it really scamming or is it just tricking them out of their money? I'm going to Scotland with someone I went. Faye, a bad decision? Literally can't believe it. No, you gotta believe it, Broski. And it's also changed. And what's changed? Get a job at Shopee. Isn't Shopee like... But then maybe... Can I give her my pickaxe? Would she like this? She likes it. Aww. Now I'm going Friday to their house and then going to Scotland with them the next day. Well, I mean, you're already gonna spend nights with them, and how long are you staying in Scotland for? Girl, I'm all types of skeptical about this, but hey, as long as you're happy. Everyone started using Shopee ever since Manny Pacquiao became a Manny. How do you say that name? Manny Pacquiao. Search should be alive. Let me know if it's an age appropriate video. I want to see it too. Many pack. Is it Manny Pacquiao or Manny Pack? You know you can jump in here and then like okay, you can't jump off there. Okay. Okay, ready? Oh shit! No. Fighting these is so hard. Stop it! No, you can't even dodge. You can jump. Whoop-ha. No! Eisner Copper. So boxer that also one of our senators. You can be a boxer senator? Let me jump. Oh shit. Did I bring food? Okay, I have some berries. Why is this so difficult? Just call him Pac-Man? Okay. But like Manny Pacquiao. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I shouldn't have done this. I should have just gone to the higher levels and just get copper from there and just called it a day. Enter, let's go back to the first level. I staged? How is it? Give us the deets alive. Tell us what it's about. Onji, hi, Kushi. Hi, cute Shadi. Hi, Shadi Bay. How's the game? It's good. Did we chatted about this, right? How are you, cute? First off, how are you? How have you been? How's your weekend been? And yeah, I love Sunhaven. I've played it a bit like offline. This is like the first time I'm playing it like on stream. YouTube video? YouTube video.
Listen, there's a good chance.
Not Wix security.
Right now. You gotta make sure you're covered.
Hold on. I good. Weekend good. What about you? How's your weekend? My weekend was good. I went out with my sister, some friends. Did a little bit of exciting adult things. I worked freaking a lot, bro. Work was busy. My fucking body hurts. Today's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. So it's confusing. Confusing when you said the weekend. Yeah, because normally I stream on Monday. And I asked you guys like how your weekend's been. But I didn't stream on Monday. So I couldn't actually guess how your weekend has been. But I hope the game is fun. Haven't you played it? Haven't you played Sunhaven Cube? You know what? I'm going back to start. What happened to your 30 days, Kazu? No, you're already caving. How far were you? Okay, we're gonna watch this for a bit. Sunhaven, be quiet. Oh, fuck is that? Making sure it's you. GG's. What you guys saw, you didn't just see. No, not yet. Not yet. I'm planning to get it when I'm free. Oh my goodness. I wanted to turn off Sunhaven. Audio.
Shopee Free Shipping! Ano man ang gusto, Shopee Free Shipping! Ano man ang kailangan, Shopee Free Shipping! Nasaan ka man? Shopee Free Shipping! Merry Christmas! Shopee Free Shipping! Shopee 11/11 Big Christmas Sale. Enjoy free shipping with zero minimum spend nationwide. Basta Christmas shopping, Shopee!
Indeed. Why is Boomman on screen? Why not? Dude, the Shopee don't seem bad. Shopee seems kind of fun, low-key. Shopee for shipping. Like 5 GG's. Kazu, you're a stronger man than I was. I do my dailies every day, so you're like doing better than I am. You can work there? You can? This shit became a meme of like the whole Philippines for like months. Well, it became famous. Shopee for shipping. What is this? It's Shopee for shipping. Shopee free shipping? Shopee free shipping. What the hell are we watching? Shopee free shipping. The Amazon of the Philippines. I thought my thoughts mirrors everyone's. You could definitely work there. I mean, it would be a cool job. Jeff Bezos just trembling. What the fuck did we watch? Shopee free shipping. Guys, get with the program. You will be rich. Okay, I go work. Alrighty, cute. Thank you for stopping by. Look at you, Shawty. Love you, queen. Love you too. Have a good day at work. Shopee is like on everyone's phones. That it could be that is understandable if Shopee is like the Amazon for like the Philippines. It's Shopee free shipping, guys. We've been known. Oh, I turned off the audio. Was it on before? I'm getting Locha is the last thing I do. On Jesus sandals. Why on Jesus sandals though? Kazu was like so adamant, just like, Kazu, get Locha for me. Like, do it for the both of us. And now he's just like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm getting Locha myself too. Honestly, as you should. Kazu, start this like whole little hiatus on the next banner. Get Locha. That Shopee free shipping mummy way out of what? Huh? Kieran. You spelled it incorrectly. Oh Jesus, I'm just not in my phone. You're from the Philippines too? In the Philippines seem cool. They're built different. Remember, go to the Philippines only between January to March. Is that when it's not like as, you know, touristy? Shopee free shipping, guys. That's it. I'm Shopee free shipping my way out of here. No, Kieran, come back. Don't leave. Stay with us. What does Shopee free shipping do? Unless it's like getting busy at work, then yes, go. But like, if you're just doing that because like for Shopee free shipping, then why Shopee free? Why leave? We stand Shopee free shipping in these houses. In this Minecraft server, we stand Shopee free shipping. July to December are like, oh. Then after that, I hope that the places you go to isn't racist. Honestly, it do be like that sometimes. Oh, 13. The fuck? Alive, your name just changed colors. Did you change your name color? No, you said this. I only go to the Philippines in July to December, never January to March. Go to not with, oh my, July to December. No, if they mess with Cozy, we finna pull up. Really? That's so nice of you. No, broski, not Kazu. Listen, Kazu, I'm not built different, right? Right? Because, you know, they won't expect it. Because, you know how, like, I hid it from you guys for the longest time that I was, like, Batman? I need to get to my house. They won't expect it. And I'll pull up and I'll, like, rip off my mask and it'll be like, surprise, Sade. But you can also pull up to Kazu. Yeah, I want to do In the Storm. We'll have fun. Yeah, I changed my name color. Oh my goodness. Starting to be so freaky here that we started thriving in it. As you should. And I'm gonna do it again. Oh goodness gracious. And don't keep doing it. It's gonna confuse me. I attach colors to people's names. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Anonymous, for another gifted sub. You give a gifted sub to Watcher. That means Watcher's lurking. Hi, Watcher. If you're lurking. Let her cook. Let him cook. Speaking of letting me cook, actually, I should probably go to bed. Yes. Yes. Too late. Sir, alive, I'm gonna get you mixed up with someone else's name. Can I water some plants? Before I head to bed. This next day, I'm fucking standing in front of June's house because I'm gonna forget that we have to go out together. What color do you have left to change it to alive? Or do you have like those... Why don't you water this one? My watering can is broken. Oh, this light. It's not broken. I'm broken. Everything about this is broken. Do I have enough time to make some copper balls? Can I have some more, please, sir? And then to make some keys. Right. I'm pushing it, bro. Skill issue? How is it a skill issue, Kieran? At least I don't die 15 times in the only the first, not even first quarter of a game. I died 20 times. 11 colors left? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Baby, let me dig in, so I'ma let the beat rock. Is this bitch back again? Oh, it's another one. On God, this bitch just block my path like that. Joke's on you, I get mining level from this. So, who's losing now? The wood goes here. Copper goes there. Wood goes there. What the fuck is this? It goes here. Only 15 times so far. Exactly. But honestly, Kieran, it could be a little bit off because there was one part where I did go to the shower. So I couldn't have kept track during that time. So it could have been 16. I'm not too sure. You know. We leave it at 15 because that's a clean number. How you doing, Zuzu? Oh my gosh, she's back. I'm doing okay, oh my. I'm chilling. How are you? Oh my. Black diamond cheese string, a shrivelable cheese snack. How's it go? Who sent me this? Oh my gosh! I find the best way to relax after a long heartfelt session is to paint. While working on this piece, I realized I was thinking of you, so I want you to have this. I remember to take a moment to appreciate the small things in life, like paint. Y'all. Something about emo guys. It just really hits close to home. Is this Peter? Peter, who the hell are you? I don't think we're saying no. Look at the painting. We're gonna go. It sells for $400 though. Hey Karen, how are you? Hello, Karen. Never left working on stuff. Oh damn. Apologies, sir. I thought you stepped away for a bit and it came back. It's nice to hear. What? This is a tiny ass painting. I just want to look. Goddamn. We could have at least made it a bit bigger. I'm telling Shane. Telling Shane what? Go tell Shane. I even like him to begin with. If you're meaning to say that you're gonna tell Sebastian, honestly, go tell Sebastian too, because, like, low-key, once I downloaded, like, the Wizard mod pack, kind of forgot about Sebastian, low-key. How's your stuff working on going? Oh my. Is it, like, heavy stuff? His back. Not heavy stuff, but you know. It is a lot to do. Oh goodness gracious. I don't know what it is. Every time I stream, I get extremely tired. June, is it 10 a.m.? He said meet him at his house. Okay, this is his house. June, stop walking so goddamn fast. I want to give you a gift if I go to your house. Please. Yeah, Sebastian, I'm chilling at the moment. That's good to hear. For Sebastian, GG Sebastian. Okay, I'm telling Seb and the wizard. Go tell Seb. Don't tell the wizard. I love Seek. He's... Honestly, go tell them. I don't care. I like Sunhaven better. And then June's a therapist. So like imagine dating a therapist. Your mental would honestly always be top quality. Sounds like you could use some coffee. Kazu, give me some coffee recommendations, because I did drink coffee last night, and that's why I woke up earlier than I normally do. The day wouldn't be perfect without you in it. Like, bro, do you see the people who made this game knew what they were talking about? And like the dude compliments, like, bro, it's bro. By the way, Kozu, I'll send you a message on Friday so you know I didn't get murdered. Yes, please. I want to know that you're safe, eh? I want to make sure that you're safe and happy and healthy and having a good time. Okay, so we're gonna wait here at this cute little... I don't know why the bench is taller than we are, but you know, we're gonna wait here till 10 a.m. Saying that don't be worried if you don't get a message because I very well may forget. If you don't message me, I'm gonna message you, be like, hey, just checking in. You're not dead, right? But then also I may forget. It's okay. Is this June's house? I want to double check. Okay, this is June's house. Okay. Alrighty. You just want to make sure that you're chilling and you're having like a good time. But then the other that you're being safe. Hi. I did. I'm so glad. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm ready. I'm ready. It's literally in the front of your house. That's okay. Was he blushing? You guys can't even see their faces. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm so sad. Where's my singing junior? Move her to this side. This whole time I thought we were chilling. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. You guys could even see their faces this entire time. Like, the characters, you're telling me they're not better. Actually, no. The wizard is kind of up there. But other than that, I think the other characters can, like, kind of take the boot or something. I was worried about... Oh my goodness. Thank you, Anonymous, for another gifted sub. The B. So what's up, B? Does that mean B's lurking too? B, if you're lurking, hello. But then again, I don't know if B's lurking. I don't know how gifted subs like. At least if you forget, you aren't being worried. But then Faye, if you forget, then you're not being cautious. But then the chat is covered up. What if I do this? Oh fuck me. I need this one. I turn it upside down and then I put it like this, and then so you guys can see everything. It's so random. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, that's the only thing that fits. But then I can always put chat above my head. We'll leave it up there. I won't come off as too strong, but that means a whole lot. Bro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're almost 10 hearts. You don't have legs? No, I don't. This stops at the thighs. Now that I have... So we have to have... What's wrong with not having legs? I mean, no one was gonna see the legs, so why draw legs if no one's gonna see it? Take this opportunity to get sent. Okay, what do you know? Are you starting to feel like you belong here in Sunhaven? I thought we were gonna talk about free trial. I'm like, free trial. Spider cozy. Exactly. Not only am I Batman, but I'm also Spider-Woman. You see, like, in the Spider-Verse, that whole movie, I was, like, in the backgrounds. I was one of the supporting characters. I'm hopeful we'll stick around. We need lovely people like us. Let me ask you, sir. What are you looking for? You! I was looking for you. I mean, we just saw. Me in the Spider-Man movie? Or me without legs? No, they're not. If you need help, we're here. I'll gladly lend a hand. I don't want to seem like I'm taking advantage. But they used to be like, oh, but that's what I'm here for. Okay, we'll do this one instead. Told you. Look! To woo a counselor. I'm sorry. I should stop slapping my desk. I'm gonna get in trouble. Biz, let her cook. Bro, I'm out here. I'm out here. Can I propose to her yet? Oh my gosh, it's so late already because I'm sorry. No. Have a session with Liam to. Oh, with Liam. Man, just tell Liam you're with me. He won't mind. Girl. I would love looking at propose. Look at that. I didn't give him a gift today. Can I though? We're gonna go to the thingamajigger. Let's see what we can do. I'm the superhero. I have Spider-Man's money and Batman. But wait, I thought I had Batman's power. Alive, were you lying to us this entire time? Were you failing to tell us? What the hell? You were failing to tell us something. Snape's vision fund. What? This looks like a place that in like those cheesy romance movies that people would go to get like freaky with it. I don't lie. No, you didn't lie. You just you failed to tell us an important thing about your identity. Claude is the G. What the whole in this world are you guys talking about? Who's Claude? Oh, this dude? Oh, the music guy. I mean, he's cool and whatever. I don't lie. I forgot how to lie during my training. Doing your training to be freaking Batman? You have like Batman's. What'd you say you had? Batman's power. Spider-Man's money, Batman's power. You have like a Batman suit, but then you shoot like spider webs. And you're like flying across the world and they're just like, oh my gosh, is that Spider-Man? No, that's Batman. What the fuck is Batman doing up there? He's Bat Spider. Yes, to be Batman. To be Bat Spider. To be Spider Batman. Yes, how may I help? What do you I like to divorce my spouse. Engagement ring. Favorite to propose. Gifts that you. When is the right time to marry? Is it too early? Do you guys think it's too early to marry June? We are 10. I don't want to buy it and then fucking waste my money on it. I got superpower too. Amazing friends. Honestly, Karen, that's the best superpower of them all. You can do a lot with a good set of friends. I'm not sure that I feel the same way about you too. It's just okay. Hopefully he stays. June, you need to stay there. June, this is gonna be the greatest day of your life, June. Yes, I'm Bat Spider-Man. But Bat Spider-Man, sir, what are like the duties and things that you have to do in order to like, you know, complete things that you have, you know? Like, Batman has to do certain things. Spider-Man has to do certain things. What does Spider-Man have to do? Are my pockets? No, my pockets are full. Okay. Like, what call? If you have both calls, like both a Spider-Man and a Batman call, which one would you respond to first? You can sell those, but it doesn't sell for anything. Okay, this is gonna be a little risky. I don't know if it's too early to propose or if it's the right time. If it's too early, I'm gonna stop playing this game. And we're gonna play Valorant and we're gonna go into the I miss him buff. If it's the right time, then, you know, you look healthier. I mean, you look good. Healthy good. Sir, I'm a married woman. He gave us oven mitts. That's so cute. I have to make crime, not defeat crime. So you're evil, Bat Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man and Batman issue. So you're evil, is what I'm hearing. What are you selling? Okay, give me a geisha ring. Alright, moment of truth. If this doesn't go well... Oh, why upside down? Because Omar, when we talk to people, they appear... Okay, let me talk to someone. And they appear here, right? Which is where my character normally is. And then I wanted to put it on the other side, but then the chat is there. So I could have moved myself there and then moved the chat up. But then, you know, putting myself upside down, it's like, it's a little different. It's not like the usual. We're being a little quirky today. We're allowing you to, like, you know, you come in and be like, oh my gosh, why is she upside down? Like, it just so different than like what you normally see. Kinda evil, but without me, Batman and Spider-Man gonna be jobless. I see. So, Alive, you are doing them a favor by creating crime. So they can have stuff to do. But then, should we propose to Liam in front of the kids? Would that be cute? But then what are they doing for you, Alive? Are they keeping your city healthier? Happier? Easy bottom scrolling chat? Bottom scrolling chat? What do you mean bottom scrolling chat? June! I know I'm up in your face. Listen, here. June. I'm nervous. Exactly, I see. You must be dating this character, unmarried, achieve 15 hearts. How do I date a character then? Do I have to give him something? Did I just spend my money? Exactly, I see. Because it's not maidenless. I'm not maidenless. I just moved too fast. I just skipped a couple steps and went straight to the marriage. Love letter. Okay, I only need to. Okay, okay. I don't need. Okay, it's not too much that I need. I need just 25. I have 6. What can I do? Okay, I need to harvest wheat. Meat. How do I get meat? Okay. Can I get meat from fish? I could probably. It's like not that I'm maidenless. I can have the possibility of a maiden. It's just that the maiden I want, I just moved a bit too fast with that maiden. Investigate the eastern wilderness. Yay, Jay. Jay's back. I think he went to resume, give his resume at Shopee. No, that would be child labor. Dre's not of age, legal age yet to work. Investigate the eastern wilderness. Where's the eastern wilderness? Kieran, at least I have more potential maidens than you do. So that's all that matters. Where's the eastern wilderness? Where's northeastern wilderness? This is the eastern wilderness. So we're gonna go here. Oof, you could have been rich. Oh my goodness gracious. How much is minimum wage over there? Oof, getting incinerated. That's what you get if you're calling me maidenless. But I mean, you said it was the truth, Kieran, so are you really getting incinerated if it's the truth? We're just speaking of hardcore facts. A 100,000 million bajillion quadrillion scarillion lettuce kale. You were making us get you lettuce and kale, bro. I just want to get a love letter. Because ours is 500 pesos a day, which is equal to $10 USD. Oh, is that your minimum wage? Bro, I love the word pesos. I don't know why, it's just a cute word. What do you want, big bro? Apple, bananas, green pepper flakes. Oh my goodness. As I am Bat Spider-Man, you are Bat Spider-Man. It's fine, Kieran. I have no maidens too. Same. See, Kieran, you're not alone. All the shorties have no maidens. I'm not a part of the shorties. But we know what it's like to have no maidens. It just keeps going. Is this the Eastern Wilderness? Leave me alone. I'm just trying to explore. Deep Wilderness. Where's the Eastern Wilderness? Hold on a second. Same game was interesting, my Jay. Honestly, Jay, you should. If you Eastern Force, if you know Stardew Valley, or if you like Stardew Valley, this game is honestly like Stardew Valley and more. I'm not biased, but I'm kind of biased when I say I kind of like this more than Stardew Valley. It has all the things you would want to have in Stardew Valley. I made Sunhaven Town map to help me. Okay, where is... It doesn't show me where the Eastern Wilderness is. Either this or Hollow Knight is really cute though. Investigate Eastern Wilderness. Bro, I just need a map to know where the Eastern Wilderness is. Is that where it? I don't understand anything. All flies overhead. Honestly, alive mood. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing in this game either. Girly pop. Okay. So we're just gonna ignore that one for now. I kind of got bored of Stardew, then modded it and had a blast, but it wasn't enough. Honestly, modded Stardew Valley is a lot better than regular Stardew Valley. You're able to like do a lot more, and I think the one thing that is like a more benefit, we're off the map at this point, is like a thingy, like you're able to see where all of the characters are and stuff like that. That's like one thing I wish they had in Stardew Valley. Oh my gosh, Jerry, what was your favorite mod in? Is that strawberries in Stardew Valley? It is strawberries. There's a monkey. Oh fuck me. Sorry. Starting to get a bit too pet. Yeah. So I might have to find the wilderness myself offline. But Clive. Tractor mod? What tractor mod? What's tractor mod? Are these mushrooms? We're gonna go out there and then there'll be bitches waiting for us. Sorry. Sorry. He throws a banana. Stardew Valley Expanded was so much. Stardew Valley Expanded looks so cute. I just don't have the energy to download all the previous mods needed for it. Yeah, I ain't the enemy here. If you want me to get rid of your home, I will. But I'm not the enemy. I'm gonna go back home. Is that money? Sorry. Small money bag. T-bone money bags. We love casting spells. All my interest for Abigail dropped the moment I saw Sophia. Sophia stand I see. Kieran, don't you love Sophia as well? Kieran had a whole dilemma between Sophia and Abigail. Maybe it's a common thing for like Abigail lovers to once they see Sophia like Sophia as well. Don't give me that face, Kieran. You know you were down bad for Sophia. And then you're just like, Abigail, who's Abigail? We saw where your loyalties lie. Find the lost wheel to the east. No! I'm gonna die out here. Anyone who sells sprinklers have my heart. Really? To the east. The east is up, I'm telling you, bro. No, it's this way. So you just keep going. We need to get stronger weapons before we can find that. That's why I love Krobus. Krobus so sprinkler. Isn't Krobus the little prickly dude with the pointy head? The ghost dude. How do we get meat? Can we buy meat from the shop? That might be my only way to get meat. Abigail was literally gaining hearts for no reason. Maybe Abigail just knew you and her were meant to be, Kieran. She wasn't gonna give up on you. Where do you get meat from? Where do you get meat from in Sunhaven? Where do you get meat in Sunhaven? General store. The regular. Oh my gosh, I have to get meat tomorrow though. The music stopped. Come back. Por favor. Yandere Abigail confirmed. Abigail, yeah, she just doesn't want to let go of what's hers. And rightfully so. Once she has something, she does. Wasn't in the original game Abigail and Sebastian supposed to get together? Is it because they're just both emo? I liked Gamer Girl, so I went with Abigail. We love. Can I make it to the shop? Is this still open? Does it close at 8 or 6? General store. Make sure. It's still hell yeah. But apparently I liked Pink Hill Depressed Farmer Go more. There's just something about depressed pink hair farmer girls. Meat. They want a 3. 1, 2, 3. Eastern Quarry Blacksmith. Krobus is the one who lives in the sewers, like Ninja Turtles. Honestly, maybe. But you know, Dre, I've restarted the game so many times that I've barely gotten. The farthest I've gotten was like year 2, spring 1 or spring year 2, whatever it is, the first season. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was such a cool show. If y'all watch Ninja Turtles, who was your favorite Ninja Turtle? Solon. Sir, take your stuff. No problem. Only 5? Okay. We'll take the extra money. Peter's lure. Somewhere on the beach. Okay. We're gonna go to the beach. The farthest I've gotten was near completion. But that's still far though. I was just too lazy to cook every single type of food. Fuck Pierre. You have to cook every single type of food for Pierre? Pierre's just he like makes things overly expensive. If there was a way to still like not go the Joja Cola route, but can I put these on my hands? I can't. Okay. To like complete the community bundle, but also like not go Pierre's route. Held message reason aggression. Allow will post it to chat. Pierre's a piece of shit. Pierre don't deserve anything. Y'all think Juno likes strawberries? I think the Warnheart would like strawberries. There's a certain subreddit dedicated to hating Pierre. Do we just collectively hate Pierre that much? We need to find his barber. What is it? Give me, Drake, give me like, the, what's it called? The rundown of it. I saw them out to marry Caroline for the sole reason of chucking Pierre. How did that go? How did the Caroline marriage route fare? Jesus Christ. I just want to find a barber. Pierce Lord. Okay, we're gonna search this up. Y'all, but this game, half the time, I'm searching stuff up. Sunhaven. I also married his daughter just to spite him more. In the same mod? In like the same game? It's right there. I haven't been this angry at a pixelated character before. Same game. Same game. What is his name? Shakespeare is shaking in his grave right now. Please tell me you at least married them at two separate times. Like you divorced one and then married the other. No problem. I'll take your money. No, there's a mod to marry multiple. Yes, but sir, it's the fact that you married the wife, and the daughter at the same time. Shakespeare is having a field day. Was that Oedipus? I don't know. It's not an Oedipus complex. I don't remember what complex it was. I also made one where I went to go marry him for the sole purpose with putting the. No, Dre. What you should have done is you should have married him, and then while you were with him, gone the Joja Cola route. So that he had to live that Joja Cola life the entire time. Raspberries. Right click to okay, we have to open that up. But I haven't. No, I need 5 more. My hate goes that deep. Why don't we take a deep breath, Dre? We could leave Pierre in the dust. We don't have to talk about him. We don't have to talk about Bruno. We can sell the seashells, stone. No se habla de Bruno, de Pierre. No se habla de Pierre because Pierre is Pierre's a no-no. I didn't know people hated Pierre that much. I just disliked him because he kept trying to give us like his he kept trying to make it seem like his stuff was better than the rest. It's like, oh, my prices are so much better than those Joja Cola people that you should not indulge in Joja Cola or whatnot. Fuck Joja Cola. And it's just like, sir. But it's the fact that you like you kind of in the city worked for Joja Cola and you left the city in order to live a new life. But then you're kind of just going back to that same life from before. So it's like, are you really escaping, or are you just going back to what you were doing? Left click to read. Left click. I'm left clicking. One more left click. Left. Oh my goodness gracious. Right click to open. I'm left clicking to read, and you don't want me to read. What if you had to do this? Or just a Sunhaven and Elias book. Great. No, I like Alive. Have you played Stardew Valley before? You put those in their box. Back to June tomorrow morning. Or are you just saying Pierre because like Dre has a deep hatred? I started hating Pierre ever since other villagers saying stuff he grew tasted good. Really? Which is where it's which is oh, so he's like passing off his stuff, passing off the stuff you got for him as his. He's like, I grew this in my backyard. But yet he found it. You know, I never really give stuff in that donation box in the this dude is gonna be more annoying than that weed dude in the general shop. I started liking him when you started hating him. Me, I'm indifferent to Pierre. I don't hate or love him. He's like, whatever. I just barely interact with him. I only interact with him if I go to the store because like his wife and his daughter are there. So like you go for them and like he's just right there. A Christian. No, I never play Stardew Valley, so this is just a to spite type of liking of Pierre. Just wanted to look. Thank you here for the lurk. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for saying hi and sticking with us. It's in my blood to respect other people's opinions, even if it's against my very beliefs. Jay is just quaking on the inside. He may respect other people's opinions, but in reality, he's just like, this dude's really, really getting on my last nerve, bro. It's okay, Dre. We all have those moments. Anyways, fuck you. Damn. What did we do? This is Sunhaven book. Can we sell this? And money, thank you so much. They gave us a small loan of 75 cents. I can drain it and put new blood in it. Huh? We vampires? We can harvest wheat. Okay, wait. I don't think we have it. We might have enough though. Okay, and then we can buy the No, we're short by 3. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Lettuce, amaranth, blue rose. I'm lucky gonna sleep this day so this week can be ready. No, because I'm type O. What's that one blood type that's like compatible with everyone? I'll put some type O blood back. What if it's like O plus or like... Does it all have the plus or negatives or that's just A and B? Y'all know what your blood types is? That's why I fish all day and sell it to Willie. To make monies? I swear you'd be running around the place sometimes, Kieran. It was so fun. It's been so long since you played Stardew Valley. Fishing is fun, but you cannot do a lot with fishing and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, thank you Anonymous for a gifted sub. I miss Benny. Oh, we all miss Benny. I can't tell if it's the same Anonymous as before, but thank you nonetheless. Kieran, you should play Stardew Valley again. For no specific reason, but just because I want to see you play Stardew Valley again. No reason at all. Sensei, was it you this entire time? Thank you for the gifted sub to Ner. Ner hasn't been here for a while. I miss Ner. Ner needs to come back. I want to say hi to him. But thank you, thank you. Anonymous is popping off. Anonymous be doing the work. Fun and work. No, I'm not a vampire. I'm Bat Spider-Man. Oh, why would... Bat Spider-Man need blood? I don't know what to do with this book. Oh, I said I was gonna sleep today. Okay. Actually, no. I'm gonna... Where's June? I'm gonna go give him a gift. But I can't even give him a gift. Giving him a gift won't do anything. We're gonna sleep today. Hopefully the wheat is done by tomorrow. Fellow angler, I see. Do you go the fishing route too, Dre? It's too early to sleep? Your mom's too early to sleep. Make it this day 15 minutes. She thought you could just stream without any consequences. What do you mean stream without any consequences? I stream at the same time every time I stream. There's no different time. It would be a matter of time before you came in. But hello, Sensei. How are you? Sensei Rich? Lies and slander. Nah, Sensei just built different. I agree with the live. How was work, Sensei? Has it been busy? You have a lot to do. I need more wheat. Will I sleep after freaking 12? See, in Stardew, it would let you sleep at any time of the day. Where's June? June, come here. I remember Ner. You too, Omar? It's been a long time since Nair was here. Give. Bye. Huh? Huh? Question mark? I agree with you. The sensei's just rolling in the dough. What are you selling? Do you sell? That's so cute. I want this. I only have 5 in my pocket. Do we have more at home? The whistle you can call your busy bumblebee companion. Grab a leash to have them follow you. But where'd you get the leash from? Makes sense. Okay. Oh, buy that tomorrow. Or today. Yeah, a bit of work today, sadly. Oh, that's okay. You get through it. You got this. You're hardworking guy. Subordinates be holding dummy. I needed some hand holding today. Other than that, that's great to hear. I've been chilling. Nothing too exciting happened the past 2 days. I have work. That's basically about it. Who's this? Albert keeps it. Talk to Albert afterwards. Miss ma'am, I don't want to talk to you. Carl, move, please. Thank you. I never think, but it ain't making sense. It's okay. It's okay, Alive. Don't think. Don't stress that pretty little mind of yours. Must be very responsible for your age. Toby, I want to talk to you. June, please, June. Give gift. See, I can't even get more hearts with him because we're max hearts. Okay. Liam, hi Liam. Liam, would you like wheat? You think you'd like wheat? Actually, we can't. We need to harvest wheat. Liam, next time. Bobo, surprised? Why are you surprised? Why so I was gonna do. Okay, wait. See how many spring tokens we have? We have enough? We'll go buy the little thingy. If we don't, we're gonna go to bed. If we can't go to bed, I don't know what we're gonna do actually. We're gonna mine all the stuff off of our farm because the monster is putting in work on our farm. And I remember the last monster that came in, you had to have like a jump rope kind of competition, but I'll be completely honest with you, I was kind of struggling with that. So I kind of just waited it out, and like he left eventually, but I don't know if this monster's the same. Only 96? Okay, makes sense. What do you want, dude? Listen here, bozo. How much of no thanks. Do you guys hear that? The garbage truck is coming. Blade. The fuck? Do you have to fight him? Oh, how? Do I use a pickaxe? Hell yeah! Look at, okay, we're gonna be here for some time. So, how's your guys' day going? You've been well. Now this is pod racing. Pod racing? What's pod racing? Why bullying? Bullying? What do you mean bullying? We're not bullying. This dude, you see what he did to my land? You see what he done to my property? He's trespassing. If anything, he's the one bullying me. He's lucky I ain't send his ass to jail yet. And we're getting like mining levels with it too. Like if you see in the corner right here, we're getting like mining levels. So I mean it's a win-win situation. Although it's just taking like a bit of time. Well, wait until he gets down to 90,000. This is gonna take a lot of time. Although I don't know as to why he came here or why he thought it would be great to, like, you know. Come to my land and cause, I hope this doesn't restart tomorrow. Imagine we do all of this for it to just like, it resets tomorrow. And he's back at like 10,000 health. Poor rock being stabbed to death by evil Cozy. Why are you guys on the rock side? The dude just flew onto my property and he's shooting like meteors so I can't like walk around. It might have been his land before. How dare you call me a colonizer? If it was his land, I wouldn't have been allowed onto it. I looked around, no one was here, nothing was, it was empty. He didn't claim the property, so it's the free real estate. The heck is just there, he's not even fighting back, how could you? I mean, he doesn't have hands to fight back. That just sounds like a skill issue on his end. Poor guy, oh my gosh, Faye. Now you being on them side too. Ace goes to switch teams real quick. This is my land now. I mean, might as well assert dominance. It's better to do it early than later on. Agreed with Jay. Of course you agree with Jay. You and Jay are like buddies. I didn't do nothing but live and look what the bitch is gonna do. And you're saying I can't fight back because he could wreak havoc on my land. I'm the one getting put in danger and I can't protect myself. I'm gonna close my room, die. I don't know what type of energy y'all are on, but all I'm doing is protecting my infrastructure. Protecting my land. And you know what? I'd do it again. I am gonna do it again. Day by day until bitch is gone. Three more harvests. Oh, it was the wrong one. And that makes 40 wheat. Let's see what. Yes, sir. My vegetables. Look at this. Now I gotta buy more vegetables. Is this gonna say this will finish tomorrow? Is it? Okay, you know why? Because I haven't watered the crop. Talk to Anne. Where's Anne located? Anne, where are you? She not out yet? Turn in Blade Buddy to Nathaniel, and Nathaniel said, where the fuck is Blade Buddy though? First date with Liam available. Albert keep 10 in pickaxe partner to Lynn at Lynn's house. Talk to Lynn, talk to Nathaniel. There's a lot of stuff going on. I need a new chest for more materials. Bro, I'm running out of space. Cute. Alright. Wait until the— oh wait, while this chest is being made. Y'all can watch this being happened. Look, he doesn't even look like he's getting hurt. Maybe he wanted this. Is the chest finished? Okay, what's up there? Uno chest. Gracias. I think he wanted death. Exactly. If he doesn't seem hurt by it, he probably was accepting his fate. Like, he knew it was gonna happen. Dude's not even flinching. Like, dude knew what was gonna happen. He was prepared, mentally preparing. And so we progress. I need to turn the day back to 30 minutes. Imagine trying to justify war crimes the time we lived in. I'm not justifying. Look what the bitch did to my property. Look at all that. I can't even walk. I'm just protecting what's mine. You, not I. You think you wanted death? I think you wanted death, question mark. That was written incorrectly. So mean. GG's. These are the times we live in. It's either get wrecked or be wrecked. And he chose to be wrecked. You can mine. He can't defend. Difference. But he knew what was going to happen. All of the meteor showers he does every morning is basically little pieces of him. Which, hi June. Did you do your hair different? Wait, that's just the lid. Let me fix it. Oh my gosh. Second date. So I can tell it's something about you. Oh my gosh. It's just you and I? Are you trying to ask me on a date? Is it like, of course. 2 out of 5? Of course. Of course. We're going on a date with you in a while. What did I need to do? Talk to Anne. He might be peeing. Not on my property, he isn't. This is not a public laboratory. He can do that somewhere else. He didn't even ask. There's no consent. It needs to be fought back against. Hi Anne, I finished your request. Give me my monies. You didn't even give us. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna do the farming one. I just wanted stones to buy a love letter. Please. Talk to Lynn, talk to Nathaniel. Can we do Okay, where's Lynn? Because I want to get the love letter before tomorrow. Because how is the dude taking me on a date and we're not even dating? That makes no sense. He needs to stop playing around. There's also an achievement in this game if you jump a certain amount of times. I like kept jumping because it's fun, and it's just like, oh my gosh, achievement for like jumping 100 times. I'm just like, jumping 100 times. So yes, angry and out of control. See guys, it's not my fault. But I have a pickaxe, so was a praying issue. Lynn, what do you need me to do? Where's your pickaxe? Talk to Solomon. Solomon, please give her pickaxe back. Why did I have a heart with him? Hi Lynn, I have your pickaxe. Yes. Come on, Lynn. Second date with Lynn. I think Lynn wants us, but we don't want her. 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's the same time as June's date. What's the problem? Cole? Sir. Sure. We can actually get the coal from our house. And that... I wish you can teleport in this game. Because then we get the coal. Fingers crossed he gives us at least 5 of those town tokens. And then we can give the love letter to June. And then maybe we can also give him a gift. I don't know if the love letter would be considered a gift. But then Lynn is now gonna help with that rock as well. I don't know if she'd be helping now. But she said she'd be helping. Because supposedly elements get angry. Elements get big angry. Look! Look at her! Hell yeah! This is my type shit. This is my type of shit. Hold on a second. Where's the coal? I'm gonna put the fruits away. This is my type of energy. And then Lynn is passively working it. Beautiful. Why is she going so much faster than I am? God damn. We need to give her a stronger pickaxe because she could be doing so much more damage, but she's only going 17 damage. Is this a handicap match? Maybe. Do I care? No. Okay, cute. Lynn, while you work on that, I'll be right back. We do a job of coal. See, it's like, you know when you guys are playing a game and like you're planning something like in advance, but like you're hoping that the plan works? That's me right now. Someone needs to be really nice and give us at least 5 tokens. Because I feel like that's the main thing. Watching is like 4 and I'm just gonna turn off everything. I'm like, okay guys. GG's for tonight. I'ma head out. Sir, I have your coals. Yes! Okay, lovely. Time to get bitches. At least the one thing with this still being such a new game is that the loading screen is a lot slower. Sometimes it freezes and you have to like click the game in order to like bring it back to Nathaniel. Hello. Spare me the hell yeah. Nathaniel, what do you want? Solomon, have your Rosa. Where's Rosa? Wasn't Rosa just here a second ago? Lynn, I thought you were on my farm. Where's Rosa? First date with Liam. Second date with Lynn. Me. What the hell is that bird? Oh, that's Rosa. Rosa, where are you located? Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to do. First and most important thing though. Hello, sir. Give me that love letter. A person's best friend. For usual animals. Okay. Thank you. June! Where's June? She's in the library? Okay. It's just gonna be a thing where just big things towards this relationship happen in the library. Because I believe in public displays of affection. I forgot to keep changing my name color. No, keep forgetting alive. Don't change it again. It's okay. We don't. I like purple. Purple's cute. June. No, Topi. Shut. June. I ate too many spring rolls last night. Had some strange dreams. Has that ever happened to you? Lovely. Here, June. Listen. Oh, this is CD. And I'm scared. What if he says no? Oh, I got to go have fun. Alrighty. Thanks for stopping by, Alive. It was nice having you here and chatting with you. Hope to see you soon. I've been wondering what happened if I have bitches now. This thing I see. Do you see? I don't have a gift. Do you like roses? What if I give you a rose? Please tell me you like roses. A blue rose. Aww! You got this, Busy. Faye, he said yes. Look, we have a... Don't tell the wizard though. But that's in a whole different game. We'll keep these two separate. That was scary. And this is just a video game. Don't tell Kieran though. I know Kieran was gonna run his ass to tell the wizard. Yay. Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you guys for coming to today's stream. You gonna give me a rose? Do you want a rose, Omar? I have another one at home. But I don't wanna give you a blue rose like I did to him. When you talk to Rosa, I feel like I'd give you like a lilac colored rose or like a white rose. Although it may be unnatural, but like anything besides a red rose is unnatural. If you wanted a rose, Omar, I'll send you one. Can do, Rosa. Ma'am. I'll send you two so it'll be unique. I feel like one is too basic bitch and a whole bouquet is also too basic bitch. So I'll give you like 2 or 3 and like tie it with like a pretty little bow or something. Complementary bow colors. I'm running like I don't even know where Nathaniel is. Yeah, he's down there. So many people want so much stuff to be done right now. Artistic, huh? I'll think about it. Think about it. Think about me giving you a rose or think about accepting it. I don't know. I just like cute little things like that. Cute little gestures like that. But like not typical like basic gestures. It's already 4 p.m. What if with the 3 of us working on it, we'll all get the... Grandpa, what do you need? Sword? Why do you have a sword? Oh, you're Albert. I need to find new gifts to give June. I can't keep giving him the same sand dollar anymore. Come on, Palms. You must like yourself then? Like myself? What's that supposed to mean? I'm gonna go to my house, do this way. But I should collect those stuff so I can sell them. Contrary to popular beliefs, I don't understand you, Omar. You confuse me sometimes. Ignore why I said it like that. Bro, my brain's shutting down. Bad guy? Cheetah girls. Oh my gosh, you know what was funny? I'm sure I do. You know what's funny? You know what I thought about you yesterday, Omar? Because when I was at work, they're playing Single Ladies. And I remember when I would always sing that song, you'd pop into stream. It's like, why are you singing Single Ladies? I'm just like, I don't know. It's just stuck in my head. Now that I mentioned it, it's stuck in my head again. It's a sign? A sign for what? Is someone to put a ring on it? If you like it, then you should put a ring on it. I want to play the song now. Guys, we're playing Beyonce. I'll find out sometimes later. Excuse me? How dare you leave that? How dare you not answer the question? Shrek? Why the fuck is Shrek and someone from Attack on the Titans there? How dare you not answer the question? You're avoiding the question. Okay. Can you hear it? Yeah, you can. Someone may come in and be like, why the fuck are you playing Beyonce? I'm just like, why the fuck not? It's a cute little farmer that likes to blast Beyonce from the speakers. People sell these roses. At least I got you thinking of me, but that's besides the point. You're missing the point. I can neither confirm nor deny. Look, there's two of them helping me out. I can neither confirm nor deny such allegations. But 90% of the time what you're thinking is you're probably correct. Or like what you're thinking of is correct. So take with that what you may. Holly, look at us go. We're just gonna keep going at this until... Because we didn't get this type of help. Well, actually, but... Hey, yo, is it... Yes? What happened? Say you're alarming me. Why does his sword do much more damage than my sword does? The axe doesn't do jack shit. So that thing was a bit ominous. We're gonna try to get him down to 50k. And then I'll go to bed after that. This is some nice type of ASMR. You know? Audio. Sound effects? Is this sound effects? Sound effects. Okay. We'll turn off the sound effects for now, cause at least it's going. Is it going a bit faster? Going a bit slow. Not IRL, but kind of maybe IRL. I could use a nap. Okay. But like in game. Why? What about it? I'm a growing child. I need a nap time. Oh, I need coffee. One and something. Something I need. We don't sleep shame here. You don't go to bed early, Omar. I feel like you would go to bed early. It's like there's like two extremes of chat. The ones who go to bed like early, or the ones like a decent time. Hell yeah, look at us being an adept miner. Or the ones that go to bed like really fucking late. If you need to not feel free to. Who knows? Oh my gosh, I always say this to Harry, but I'm just like, I need a nap and a hug. That's like my catchphrase. That's the catchphrase of the summer. I do go to bed early. Define early. Because early, oh my, to some people can be like 10, to some people be like 12, and then some people can be like freaking 1 in the morning. But then those are the type of people who go to bed at like 5 in the morning. AKA me. If we jump, does it do more damage? No. It's just a place boo. I'm gonna jump because it looks funny. I also reading. I've been doing like a lot of reading lately, which has made me a lot more tired. Between 10 p.m. and 11. Damn. You got a healthy sleeping schedule. But then do you wake up early? You like compensate for having like to wake up early. You go to bed early. So this next day, you guys go to, actually, I'll go on Lynn's date this second day. We will, water our crops. Hopefully get rid of this rock. I wake up, I see. You're doing like big kid stuff. You like doing grown up stuff. You're being a responsible adult. That's funny. But that's good. As long as you're getting sleep. You can get like extra sleep for like the rest of us who live off of like 4 hours of sleep or something. $11:10. It's cute how like the time is just kind of screaming with you, screaming like at you in the corner, just like, hi, you need to go to bed soon. Okay, thank you for your assistance. Me, on the other hand, I have to go to bed before it costs me $300. Even if you don't fall asleep in your own, like, in your bed. Do you pass out in like Stardew? Yes, you do. But every time you pass out, I think it costs you like 200 to 300 gold. No matter like where you pass or anything, like it's gonna charge you the money. So that's like the one thing, like if you voluntarily like pass out, not in like, that's not, you know, like if you don't go to sleep, you have to be prepared to like spend the money. Cause you know how Omar, like in Stardew, there's like situations, like whoever finds you, like say like if Harvey finds you, or if like say like I know Linus can sometimes find you, or like other people, like if they find you, you don't just like pay them. But then if like a JoJo Mart person finds you, you have to pay them. And here you gotta pay regardless. And it's like the fact that like even if you're in your house, you still have to pay. Like you have to be like in your bed to not pay. There's just like one downside. Other than that, this game has a lot more benefits inside you. I think the biggest benefit is there's no energy bar. So you can be doing stuff for a long time. It's like whenever I play this game and I switch over to Stardew and like Stardew you start to get like sluggish, I was like, oh my goodness, we have energy. But then here you have like unlimited energy, which is cute. It was it? Nah, bro. No, don't say stuff like that. I sound like a gremlin. What do you mean my voice is relaxing? I'm a gremlin, remember? Roar. But thank you. Bro, don't say stuff like that. I never know how to respond to comments like that one. I just sit here just like, indeed, thank you, yes, wonderful. You know how Sage, when it's just like, what is it called? When they congratulating you, they're just like, wonderful. You don't like the truth? I don't like that truth. Because I never know how to respond. Normally I know what to say, but whenever people say that, my brain just shuts down. Because how often do you have someone coming up to you be like, you have a nice voice? Like, if someone ever said that to you, you just, you stand there, you know? Don't test me, sir. What do you think this is? A democracy? You don't get to tisk me. Watch, next time I'm gonna throw the comment back to you guys. You're not gonna expect it, and then you're gonna be like, what, how do I respond to that? And I'll be like, yeah, you see how it is. Never know what it feels like, so I can't say. Honestly, Sensei, when it happens, you won't know what to say. Cause it's kind of like not even that, like, you guys know when someone has ever given you like a comment that is like unexpected, or like a comment that like is just taking you off guard, and you just don't know what to say. You're kind of just like taken aback. It's like that. I'll be waiting to see if you can do that to me. I'll find a way to, Omar. But it can't be like on chat or like through a text or something, because that it won't have the effect that like you're looking for. But I'll find a way. It may be difficult, but I'll find a way. Oh, there's a way. This dude's almost done. Please, can you be gone? I don't want more rocks on my house. Just waiting for it to go down. I'm just waiting for it to go down. Waiting for it to go down. Just waiting for it to go down. It's just wonderful. Aw, you look kind of cute now. Maybe he was possessed. Ayo, a call then. Let's set up later. Later? Are you doing anything later? Okay, 9:40 a.m. Fabric. How do we make fabric? You can get fabric from silk at a loom. We need to make a loom. Basic furniture, baker station, crafting table. Loom. Wood plank, 2 silk. Okay, we have that. You don't only have 2 silk, but you know. We need more wood planks though. Crafting table. Let's just do 20 or 40. It's oh. Grab a leash and have them follow you. Left click at a house or farm. That's so cute. Did we not get any from the weed monster because we didn't defeat him? That's sad. Okay, so we're gonna finish this day. And then we probably head out. Cause I'm kinda hungry. It's so cute. Buy a pet leash from the store to have your aunt. Okay, we're gonna go to the store and get a pet leash. A sword. Hell yeah. Thanks, Nathaniel. We needed that. Where did it say? The store. That depends. What are you doing later? As of right now, I was just gonna read. But reading can be pushed to whatever time. You know my store. I thought you could take a nap. What are you selling? Emmett, what are you selling? Carrot seeds. Basic bed. Carrot, tomatoes. You don't have a leash. Is there an animal store? Is it in this one? This is the farmer's. No. From the pet store. Doesn't the shorty run the pet store? Is this a pet? No. Pets and accessories. And pet accessories. Romance doll. Such thing as a romance doll? Can I give one of these to June? Are those universal likes? What the hell? There were like 3 bandits. Reading can be pushed. Ayo. For the right people, it can be. Leash as a pet, make it follow you. I'm gonna hold off on that for now. Can I get a cat? Where's the cat? Cat. Please. Griffin. All of y'all are ugly. I want a cat. Am I one of those people? I mean, you could test that theory. Should I get a record player? Do they sell record players? Go back. Record store. Listen here, sir. Shut up. Do you have a record player? You do have a record player. I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy jazz record, June record, a record of June song for you to play whenever you like. Isn't that kind of weird though? Goes on and back. Welcome back, Jay. How are you? Dre, you missed it. I finally gave June the love letter. I have bitches now. We're gonna buy one Rain record and one jazz record and then one lo-fi record. That shit's expensive. I just spent all my money on records. I have $1,007 left. I had $7,000 before I came in this store. Let's test that theory then. Yes, sir. I moved to my bed because I've been playing all day from 12 p.m. to... Sir, you need to get up, do some stretching. It's good that you moved to bed because your body needs it. So many people want so many... Lucia, here, hurry up. I need to catch Liam before... Oh, first date. I don't know if I can do that, bro. Second date, 1 date left. Does that mean I can't go on the second date with Lynn? From Total. What games have you been playing, Jay? I know one of them you said was Valorant. What other games did you play? Where'd he go? Stop walking around the place. You're gonna make me worried you disappeared. Okay. You have to be on the ground. Look. Which one is this one? Rain record. 1 second. We're gonna turn off this music and then turn up. It's literally just rain noises. Bro, I love jazz music so much. June's record. Great thing we didn't buy June's record, or else I would have been a little upset right now. I hope the music follows us outside. Just Apex, Valorant, and Roblox. How did Roblox go to? How's your Apex games? Tell me all about it, Jay. Did they go well? They go fun? Cause you don't seem to complain when I say I was seen with people throughout the night, completely skipping sleep for the day. Faye, you don't have school anymore. You seem like you're having fun. So as long as you're taking care of yourself, that's all that matters. You can catch up on sleep other days. Because I'm not complaining or like haven't said anything, because I at one point did the same thing, but I did it. We get money for crafting things. I did that while I was at school, so it wasn't the best, but I know the feeling you get from like hanging out with people and like not sleeping and shit like that. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself, and if you feel like too like stressed or overworked, just take a step back. That's all that matters. You're a big girl. I believe in you. And Daily Honkai Star Rail too. Purr. We love Daily Honkai Star Rail. That reminds me, I should do my Honkai Star Rail for today. Thank you for the reminder, Dre. We'll put the wood. Ay. Apex was the same shit of getting shot on because incompetent teammates, and like Dre, one day I actually saw you and Kaz like playing freaking whatever it's called together. It was so fun. It was so cool. I was like lurking, but I was like, oh my gosh, look at them go. Valorant was the same shit of getting shat on because incompetent teammates, and like, so the two games were just the same things like as usual. I really like this track. It was worth the money. Here's the loom. Fabric. 3 silk. I don't have 3 silk like that, bro. I spent 2 of them trying to make you. The anvil needs to— you guys wanna know what's crazy? You need a fucking pickaxe to break these things. Ooh, cozy blessing. Yes, ma'am. If I ever hear that you're fucking tired though, I'm gonna be like, listen here, Missy. You need to go to bed right now. Cause I ain't standing for that. Other than that, you're chilling though. Roblox gaming was the same shit of getting trash, but I got a trade that adds extra 400 Robux worth to— hell yeah! I don't know much of what Robux do, but hey, if you're getting Robux, you're getting No, wait, it's June. Wait, please, no, I'm gonna cry, guys. It's 5:10. I lost track of time again. I hope you're still there. It's only like 20 minutes. June, please forgive me. Okay, great, lovely. Inside? We're going inside his house. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I feel less stressed since it started. That's great to hear. As long as it's bringing you like positive energy, positive emotions, as long as you're like happy about it, then that's all that matters. But also remember to take time to yourself. Okay, there we go. We're gonna turn down the music a bit. 75%. I love playing Apex with cause because we're all incompetent, but at least we're so chaotic that it just works. Chaotic incompetence. So what do you think? Bro, I've been in your house. Why the fuck are you behind the chair? What are you scared of? And we're so incompetent, it loops back to the point where we're cracked because of how dumb we are. I feel like Apex is the type of game that you just can't think. You just gotta do. Look at when he bushes. You can't think, you just have to do. And and that's how it works. You do better when you're not overthinking. But then again, I do better whenever I'm just fucking brain dead in shooter games. I have to stay attentive. I can tell you that you try your best to be a helper. I do too. Maybe it's what keeps drawing me back to you. You and I are the same. Look at you. And no, look at how much you've already done to help this town. It seemed like we turned the corner the very first day you arrived. Frankly, I'm amazed. Oh my goodness. Just racking up the hearts, guys. Apex works better if you have your brain on autopilot. Yeah, no, for real. You gotta enter the zone. Yeah, I feel like the zone comes in like different ratios for people. Some people might be like hardcore focus zone, while other people may be like autopilot brain dead zone. It's nice to be noticed every night. Hell yeah. You know, one thing I've learned as a counselor is that people need a passion in their lives. Because what are you passionate about? You. Why would he like my relationships? Hope we get the chance to help you somehow. Oh damn! In this case, you really got down. That's rude. You helped me grow too. Every day I feel like a brand new person. But hell yeah! Okay, this game is cute, but I feel like the way you earn hearts is like, it seems a bit too difficult, but then again, it seems like a bit too low for me. Like, a bit too easy. Could have gone better, but it's getting late. Nah, bro, let me stay the night. Start. Oh, it's not gonna. Okay. That would be wonderful. Oh, that's cute. Can I still go on the date with Lynn? I have time. Okay, we're gonna run. Okay, guys, give me a second. I'm gonna run to Lynn. Hopefully we can still go on the date with Lynn. If not, then it's okay. She's just a friend anyways. I wonder if there was a time limit. I was entered the zone where everything was silent. I was warm and sweating. All I could hear were footsteps and their fear. Footsteps and their fear. We still can. Hi, Lynn. A bit too easy. Yeah, Omar. Because you see, like when you're chatting with them, all you have to do is pick the right response, and like you can get, even in one of these dates, you can get fucking 2 hearts in like 5 minutes. When in Stardew Valley, with 2 hearts, of course you can do things, but like with 2 hearts, it feels a lot more steady. In Stardew Valley, it feels a bit too easy in this game. I'm not complaining. Again, I'm already dating someone and it's only been like, what, 20 days that I've been here? But you know. I racked up a 40k bomb in Valorant because I entered the 40k. Ain't no way, bro. That's what the zone can do to you, huh? But you're not wrong, just so you know. You can marry Haley before the first flower dance in Stardew Valley? I mean, you can. I've never experienced it myself, so I can't really talk on personal experience. I feel like if you're focused in Stardew Valley on, if your sole focus is to marry and like date someone, then you can get it done. But if you're like focused on like everything, I don't know. Yet again, I haven't consistently played Stardew Valley enough to try. I just watch a bunch of Stardew Valleys on it. Oh, you about to get a cat? About to get a me? I wish. I can't get a cat now. Ha ha ha. Can we do a meet Lucia outside town hall? Can we still go on that date with Lucia? I don't know if it's a bit too late for that one. Yeah, okay, makes sense. I'm gonna turn this down. Yeah, the pet leash. Oh, no, there's no cat pets. I wish there was a cat pet though, or else I would have gotten a cat pet. But then I thought I wouldn't want the cat to like follow me around the freaking town. It'll be an outdoor cat, but like not like that type of outdoor cat. It would mostly be like a house outdoor cat. I haven't checked this in a hot minute. It'll just be kind of like chilling at the farm and stuff. There's a stray cat outside our house that walks from the. Oh, that's cute. I named him Mochi. Oh. He usually runs away from people, but this cat approached me when I was coming back from school. Honestly, Jay, if I were you, I'd snatch the cat up and call it mine. It's a cute little kitty. I'm jealous. We instantly became friends since then. That's so cute to hear. You got yourself a little pet buddy cat. Hopefully you guys live a nice long life together. And then one day you may be able to bring that cat in. Who knows? But I don't know much about stray cats, so I can't really say much about that. But you know. Okay. We needed, was it 3? Fortunately, my family's allergic. Oh, GG's. I feel like cat allergies are a lot more common than you think. So I used to think they were not so common, but then like, I know a lot of people who were allergic to cats. Except me, because I had allergies for too much. I built an immunity. Hell yeah! Building immunity to cat is the best thing that could have happened. I can get it. Okay, great. 1 second. Get back. I literally forgot what I was talking about. GG's. Chest. Not this one. I might buy this game. You should. Jay, do it. It's not even expensive either. Well, at least in Canadian, that's how it was like 20. Was it 20 something dollars? I don't know if it goes on sale though. You forgot you were streaming? Sometimes I do. When I go really quiet. Cause when I'm playing games, when I play games, I'm super quiet. So then if there's times where I like get really quiet and I don't say anything, it's because my brain has shut off. Cause that's why I play games off stream. But also that I also forgot what I was saying, Omar, because I was saying something, but then my mom called me. I've been looking for games to toy with my heart ever since One Shot. I don't know if this game will toy with your heart, Dre, but it's a cute little game. It's like a nice step up from Stardew Valley that once you get used to all the differences, and it's a game that you can't, like, I don't say you can speedrun. If you like put the days to like 15, then maybe you can, but like I guess because my days are set to 30 minutes, it kind of wears me out after a few days. Is it multiplayer? I'm pretty sure. Although I haven't really played with multiplayer, I've only played like my own game and like with a friend, like they've played their own game and we played together. Yes, it is multiplayer. There's like a multiplayer section. I'm pretty sure. I haven't tried it though. It's hard looking for chill games. That, and also Dre, a lot of chill games are based off of like, a lot of them are like farming sims, so it gets like repetitive. But then like there's some farming sim games that like, even though they are farming sims, it like, it's still like nice, you know? It has like their own charms and stuff like that. So if you go here and you click like multiplayer, I guess you can host and play. You could connect to ones. Oh, y'all didn't see that. But yeah, it's a cute little game. Maybe it's chill because I want to be isekai. Isekai? What does that mean? Oh, Batman's still up here. Where's that PNG image? I don't know if it's that one. Here we go. I don't know what isekai means, but maybe that could be the reason why it's chill. But yeah. Oh I hurt myself. Should I be expecting you, Zuzu? Are you doing anything, Omar? If not, then I mean, give me like half an hour and then we could chat for a bit. I need to eat something, maybe down some coffee, and I can be good for about like 2 or 3 hours. Is the same anime term when you die, but then you get transported in an RPG world. Really? Thanks for your stream. Thanks for stopping by, Sensei. And for all the support and for gifting subs and stuff. At the moment, not really. Okay, what about in half an hour? That works. Alright. See you in half an hour. Bye bye. Night. Good night, Dre. Hope you have a good rest. Thank you guys for stopping by. It was lovely chatting with you. Next stream, maybe I'll stream again tomorrow. But then also, I'm gonna stream on Fridays. I don't know how 3 streams in a row would fare. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a short stream tomorrow and then stream again on Friday, like a bit longer. If anything, I'll for sure stream on Friday. We'll see how it goes. Stream streak? Let's go. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. I'm not the type of person to stream consecutive days. I like streaming every other day. So it at least gives me a break. But to get ready to play, up for grabs. Yes. Maybe Valorant Star. One of the two. I really want to play Valorant. I'm gonna try to find a way so it doesn't lag on stream. But thank you guys for stopping by. It was lovely chatting with you all. Thanks for stopping by, Kieran. It's lovely chatting with you guys. It's lovely hanging out with you guys. Yeah, my brain is dead. I will see you guys soon. Make sure to hydrate and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.